going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to do this ripple zigzag stitch. And to do this stitch, I'm going to be using a 5mm hook and worsted weight yarn, which is 10 ply for Australia and 4 ply for the US, but you can use any size yarn or any size hook. The multiples for this whole section, the repeated one is going to be 19 stitches. So this middle part is basically 19 stitches, but you're going to have to make an end in the beginning section. And the first beginning section takes 10 stitches, and to end takes 11. Well, 10 plus 1. So we're going to be beginning with a full chain of 40 to do all of the stitches. To do the first, middle, and the 2 sides all takes 40 stitches, 40 chains. Now the other 2 sides will be 10 stitches, but we add the plus 1 just for the starting chain. So to begin, you want to do a chain of 40. And if you want to make this into an afghan, all you do is you chain 21 to count for both sides, and then you just chain in multiples of 19, 19, 19, 19, 19 until it reaches the desired size of whatever you're making. And then you can begin. Now, just to do this section takes a minimum of 40 chains, so I went ahead and I did my 40 chains here. So go ahead and get your chain of 40 or your multiples of whatever you're making, and then meet me back here. Now once you've got your chains, amount of chains that you need, you want to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Then you want to single crochet again into the same stitch. So we're going to do an increase right off the bat by putting 2 single crochets in that first beginning stitch. Now you want to put 1 single crochet into the next 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then you want to skip 2 stitches and then put 8 single crochets again. So you're going to skip 1, 2, and then into the next. You'll be working another 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and that'll be our first down part of our ripple. Now you want to put 3 double crochets worked all in the same stitch. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and your 3rd double crochet, all worked in the same stitch. Now you're going to do another set of 8 single crochets, starting in the very next stitch. You put your first one, so it's 1, and continue down your chain, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I just want to count, make sure I got my 8, 6, 8, okay. And then you're going to do like you did before, you're going to skip 2 stitches. So 1, 2, and then the 3rd. Going to start your, I really need to stop using this yarn. I know you've seen me use this yarn a lot in tutorials. It is getting to where it's gathering a lot of hair. I guess I just need to cut it down. Not use this front part anymore. So you're doing another 8. So you skip your 2 stitches and then you do your 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now you should be at your last stitch, having one stitch left, and in this very last stitch you're going to do like you did the very beginning. You're going to put 2 single crochets into this first stitch, last stitch. Oops, let me back up. So your first row should look like this. Now and also you should have 39 stitches. Remember, when you start to work your first single crochet, you already lose 1 stitch. So if you're to count your stitches now, you should have 39 stitches. And if you, of course, did more, then just keep in mind you're 1 less. Okay, for row 2, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn. And in the very first stitch, you're going to be doing a slip stitch. Just pull up a loop through and then go right into your stitch your loop on your hook. So you're just pulling a yarn through your stitch and through your loop. That's how you do a slip stitch. Continue to do a slip stitch in each stitch. Don't skip any stitches, and try to make sure that you don't do your slip stitches too tight or too loose. Try to keep them as normal and uniform as you can. If you feel like you're pulling it too tight, it's causing your piece to deform, then back out. And if you see that your loops are too big and they don't look, like this, like nice and uniform, then back out. You really want this to be looking nice, because this row will be shown. You will see it on the piece you're making. So continue on down the row, and I'll see you when you get to the end. Okay, I just got done with row 2. Make sure you count your stitches, because stitch count is very important. And if you've noticed, this slip stitch side looks like the stitches now run on the side. And if you just turn it slightly, it's almost like a mirror image. So you can see the stitches are on this side as well. You've got basically, instead of having the stitches run here, they now run like basically 2 rows, one on this side and one on this side. It's almost like Siamese twin row. Now, when you get to row 3, you want to chain 1 and turn, and you're going to be single crocheting in the slip stitches from last round. You see how you have a stitch on this side and a stitch on this side. But now you're going to be working not with these front stitches here that's facing you, but on the ones behind here. So you're going to try to go through, make sure that you get under both. And the very first stitch is always the hardest. See these 2 loops here? Sometimes to get the very first stitch, I'll actually go in and hook it with my hook to get both of them. There's 1 and there's 2. Okay, now I've got both of them. And I'm going to do my single crochet. First one's always the hardest. Now, from now on, you should be able to, let me move my yarn out of the way. This is what's facing you, and you need to work on the rows going in the back. So you're always going to be going from the back to grab those 2. See, now I have 2 on my hook, but if you look on the forward side, you see the other stitches in front. So you know you've got the right one. And you do a single crochet. Continue to do this, grabbing those back 2 stitches. And you'll know you're grabbing the right one because you'll still see those 2 in front of it. And you're just going to be doing 1 single crochet in each stitch. So just continue down your row, putting a single crochet in those back stitch loops only on this side, leaving the front ones. And I'll see you when you get to the end of the row. Okay, I've come to my very last stitch, which is, it's tricky because there really isn't 2 stitches here. So I always just put a single crochet just right into that last stitch. Because for some reason the slip stitch doesn't really show up on the first stitch. So that's it. Single crochet in the last stitch, and then you're done with the third row. Whoops, wrong way. And that's what it looks like. And every time you do a row of single crochets, single crochet row, even if it's this one where you're making the actual zigzag part, where you're skipping 2 and then you do your double crochet, this is also, I'm counting as a single crochet part. After every row you're going to have a slip stitch row. So after this single crochet row, you have a slip stitch row. Then you'll start your zigzag pattern here. Then you'll have a slip stitch row. It's going to be every other row you'll have a slip stitch row. So we just did a row where we did actual stitches. So again, we're going to do our slip stitch row. So do 1 slip stitch in each stitch. This is row 4. And I will see you back here when you reach the end of the row. Okay, I got done with the last stitch of my row. Chain 1 and turn. Now you're ready for row 5. Now row 5 is going to be the opposite of what we were doing before. Last time we were working in the row on the back side here, but this time we're going to be working on the front row. And I know I called it like the Siamese row. I got the Siamese idea because I've been watching the American Horror Story and Freak Show, and they have a Siamese. If you're wondering where I got that reference, it just popped in my head. So anyway, we're going to be working with the front row, and we're going to start again. The very first stitch is the most pain to get. So get it however you can. This is the one I was talking about. I actually got my hook to hook 1 stitch at a time. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to be working exactly like we did the second row, which means we're going to be doing an increase in this first stitch here. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 8. 1, 2. Remember, see, we're on the front, so you should see those stitches on the back this time, not in the front of your work. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And again, you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then the next. Start your next set of 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, the very next stitch, we're going to be putting 3 double crochets into it. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and again, without skipping any stitches, you're going to work a single crochet in the next 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And again, you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the next, going to put a single crochet, and again you're working in the next 8 stitches, and then you're placing 2 single crochets in the very last stitch of the row. And very last stitch here. You're going to, this one's kind of difficult because here on the back isn't really a stitch. It's the one that's forward. So go ahead and grab the stitch that's forward only for the last stitch and put 2 single crochets into that stitch. Just for this one stitch on the end is the only one that seems to be different looking than all the other ones. So that will end row 5. And again, once you do a normal row, you always do a slip stitch row right after. So do your slip stitch row, and then again you're going to be repeating. Basically, we just repeated row 2, and now we're about to do row 3 again. So no, sorry, let me correct that. We just did like row 1, and now we're about to do slip stitches and all stitches, so we're repeating row 2 right now. And then we'll be repeating row 3. And then of course, then you'll do a slip stitch row again, which is row 4. And then you'll do your single crochets worked in the front one. So that'll be row 5. So you will be repeating rows 2 through 5. Actually, should be 1 through 5. Yes, I'll have to fix this on the pattern here. So you'll be repeating rows 1 through 5 until you have reached, back up just a bit here, till you reach your desired size. And this is reversible, so if you flip it over, you still have the same look on this side, though it does change a little bit because you can see that some of these are the back of the stitches, and also this middle row here kind of puffs out. But to the untrained eye, it really is going to look exactly the same to them on both sides. It's not like one side's going to look so substantially different than the other side. So you can say this is a reversible blanket. So that's it. If you have any questions about the stitches and you're not sure where you should put your stitching and stuff like that, I'll have pictures on my site with the pattern. You can always find a link to the pattern to any of my videos in the description box below the video. And at the end of the video, I'll also put a link to all the stitches that I have so you can check out other stitches. So thank you so much. Don't forget to like and share this video and my patterns. It helps me so much. And please take time to subscribe if you haven't done that yet, so that you'll always know when I upload another video. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching.